So keeping in mind that we have to have an entire body, neck, and head on the dahlia tuber to stay viable and grow, we want to try to make sure that those stay intact. But first, let's do some cleanup. So all these roots can be cut. You can cut the bottom of the dahlia tuber. This will harden off and create a scab. It looks like when I was pulling the dahlia clump out of the ground, I got it with one of the pitchfork tines. So you can cut that off completely. Boop. We'll create this open wound, if you will, but that wound will heal over time and become hardened. It immediately cleans it up so you can see with what you're working with. A lot of times those roots will intertwine with each other and it becomes just a mess and really hard to work in. And so I really like to clean those off. This technically probably would be okay. See how this big old chunk of her body was probably hit with a tine when I pulled her out of the ground. I would never sell this tuber. So if you ever want to sell tubers, I would never sell her at all. She would stay in my collection to see if she lasts through the winter and the early spring, and then I would put her in the soil at my farm. She may survive, she may not. It's worth a shot in my opinion, because this is cafe au lait and I am trying to build up my stock for cafe au lait. She may be really ugly come springtime next year, 2024, but she could produce an entire plant and be healthy as can be. So I am going to try to keep her. If you're not comfortable with that, that's okay. You would just cut her off and call it good and not keep her. But I'm going to try and see if it works. She's got a really healthy body otherwise. She's got a strong, sturdy neck, and the head is looking really good. So I'm going to keep her and see if she survives in storage. There's an eye right there. It looks like there's quite a few eyes. There's one here, there's one there, there's one there. All these little nodules or nubs are potential eyes. And again, in the fall time, the eyes are a little bit harder to see. There's another eye right there. In the springtime, they definitely become more obvious and definitely more visible. So if you want to wait for springtime, that's totally up to your preference. And what I've just noticed is that this tuber, although the body is really solid, the neck is a little bit, do you see that wiggle and that line right there? It looks as if maybe in moving or something, the neck has got a little bit of hairline fracture there. So unfortunately, this one probably will not make it through the storage. Let's start to divide. So I start with the easiest and most obvious heads before I start anything else. I like to cut them out immediately, the obvious ones, whoops, just to get them out of the way and so you can see. All right, there we have it. She went flying. There is the mother tuber for babies. The next easiest, there's two easy tubers to divide here. This one is easy, I say, because there's an eye right there. That little nub is an eye, and she's pretty easy to spot. But unfortunately, this is also the tuber that's got this big gashing wound in her body. She may not make it, but we're going to cut her off anyways. This also is a really easy tuber to look and find the head and an eye. There is the eye right there, and so we're going to split this in the middle. And I'm choosing to split and try to to save these and sacrifice this one and this one, because, well, I think honestly, I probably would be able to save this one. This one already has a very questionable neck, likely won't save well in the storage. So if I destroy this one, I'm okay with it. So let's go down in the middle. There you are. All right, so here is the one that's got that giant gash. We'll see in the spring if she's made it. I am going to keep her though, because she's got her, the rest of her body is looking really, really good. This will heal over just like a potato. Her neck is really strong, and she's got this nice big head that's got 1, 2, 3 eyes on it, and likely she will grow. It's just a matter of keeping her alive and healthy during storage. So I plop that into our solution. All right, continuing on, we're gonna try to save this big tuber because it's got, again, that eye, that really great head, this nice strong neck, and this really elongated body. That's a really healthy tuber. There's also an eye right there. Here is a really great example of a tuber that I don't feel 100% comfortable in splitting. I do see a couple eyes on here already, but because the head space is so small, and these two tubers are so close together, I am going to keep these tubers together in storage and opt to split these in the spring when the eyes are much more obvious. Looks like there's an eye right there. There's an eye right there, so I could split them right here. If I were to split these two separately, the heads, I mean, each head would be smaller than my thumbnail. And that is not to say that they won't grow, because they probably would grow if I made sure that there was an eye on each head. However, just for storage purposes, I think I'm going to store this like this, and then hope that there are very distinguished eyes in the spring so that I can split this successfully and have 2 successful plants. And if that's not the case, when I pull this out in the spring to plant in the ground and there's only 1 eye, I will put this whole thing into the ground and I won't. Isn't that one a fun one? It's like a V or a person. I would like to say that's like a woman. Nice and shapely and 2 cute little legs. Put it in a tote that's got sanitation solution in it as well. So they're taking a nice little warm bath before I pull them out to dry.